Absolute power and influence, informally, in history, is non-existent in this world. For any man that pursues it simultaneously, knowingly or unknowingly pursues his own end. Absolute power and influence is divine in nature, but for those who have dared to search for it, are some whose names are forever engraved in historical tales. What's up, people of this weird planet called Earth? Welcome to the 54th episode of History's Most Influential Humans podcast. I'm your humble host, Damilare Mapa, and today I'll briefly be telling you about how a familiar name became influential, the name Julius Caesar. Born on the 12th July 100 BC to both subsequently influential families, not much is known about his childhood, but his documented history starts from when he was a teenager. At the age of 16, he had to take charge as the head of his family as his father died shortly after a man called Sulla won a Roman civil war. Sulla started attacking anyone related to Cinna, which was the previous ruler of the Republic of Rome. This came with an order that Caesar should divorce his wife, who was the daughter of Cinna, but he refused, which made him lose all his inheritance and almost his life, until his mother's family, who supported Sulla, interceded for him. When Cinna was still consul, which is the elected leader of the Roman Republic at the time, when he was still consul, he named Caesar as Flamen Dialis, a priest of Jupiter, during his reign. But Sulla then reached a compromise that Caesar would resign his priesthood but keep his wife and chattels. Caesar decided to leave Italy instead and do military service in the province of Asia and then in Cilicia. In 79 BC, he was awarded the civil crown for saving the life of a fellow citizen in battle. In 78 BC, Sulla died, and this was when Caesar went back to Rome, beginning his career as a legal advocate. And he began to develop his reputation, obviously showing that he had a plan to later become a ruler. In 75 BC, on his way to Rhodes to study oratory under a famous professor, Molon, he was captured by pirates, and when his ransom was paid and he was set free, he hunted down his captors and had all of them crucified. After this incident, he was recalled back into military service. He was sent to the province of Asia, tasked with raising a volunteer force to put down a rebellion, and upon success of this task, he was elected as one of the military tribunes for 71 BC, which is said to be the first step into his political career. Subsequently, he boldly made moves to position himself as the leader of the faction that lost to Sulla back then, and people loved him due to his oratory, logic, and reasoning skills. After another appointment, which took him to Spain, he saw a statue of Alexander and compared his achievement with that of Alexander's, coming to the conclusion that he had achieved nothing, as Alexander had achieved world recognition at his current age of 32. So he vowed to change that. After going back to Rome, his popularity rose with a succession of public offices. In 67 BC, he was appointed to Senate and then a formal magistrate. And around this time, he began a popular strategy of gaining public favor, which was staging lavish public entertainment events. This strained his pockets and eventually ended him in debt. In 63 BC, he set his ambition on being appointed Pontifex Maximus, facing two influential senators, but came out victorious and also won his election as praetor, but was mandated to pay his debt before assuming office. He then turned to one of the city's richest men, Marcus Licinius Crassus, who helped him in turn for a future political favor. After numerous supports from various angles, Caesar was elected consul for the year 59 BC, but his co-consul Bibulus was a political opponent to Caesar because he had a lot of rivals in the Senate, which actually, they found someone against him to be co-consul. But Caesar ignored his co-consul and made several decisions and reforms independently. But there were several members of the Senate that opposed a lot of his decisions, leading to several clashes throughout his reign. But he kept strengthening his alliance with the two former powerful consuls, Pompey and Crassus. And they even had a name for this alliance called First Triumvirate. Although this alliance would later dissolve when Crassus died in battle and Pompey subsequently tried to eliminate Caesar when he was becoming too powerful. After Caesar's one-year rule as consul, his allies helped him secure proconsulship over 3 provinces for a 5-year governorship. The provinces are Illyricum, Cisalpine Gaul, and Transalpine Gaul. This was the beginning of his long military conquest and Roman territory expansion, conquering Gaul, modern-day France and Belgium, systematically after numerous battles. At this point, Caesar had an unstoppable army at his command. This power came with fear in the Roman Senate, especially of those who clearly opposed him. In 47 BC, Caesar embarked on a voyage to Turkey to take care of Pharnaces II, who was overpowering a number of Roman states. Caesar crushed the revolt, and this was where he said the famous quote, Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came, I saw, and I conquered. It was after this period that Caesar's former ally, Pompey, aligned with Caesar's opposition in the Senate, after which Pompey became consul again. And they sent word to Caesar that when he returned to Rome, he would be immediately arrested for excesses of office during his reign as consul. And this was when another 2 factions formed, one of Caesar's and the other of Pompey. Pompey ordered Caesar return to Rome and give up his army, but Caesar refused and made the decision to take over Rome with his new powerful army. This was the beginning of another Roman civil war, after a series of events, including Caesar installing himself as the Roman dictator. Caesar fought Pompey till he fled to Egypt, where he was killed, even before Caesar had reached Egypt. And subsequently, Caesar even helped Cleopatra regain her throne with his army before leaving Egypt to go back to Rome as the dictator of Rome for more than 10 years. Although he later changed his title to the normal consul at a point. A lot of Caesar's opposition in the Senate had fled, and a lot more hated the rule of Caesar as dictator. And among the senators were 2 sons of Pompey, Sextus and Ignace. Caesar's image was put onto Roman coinage, the first for a living Roman, with special rights to wear royal dresses, sit on a golden chair in the Senate, have statues of him erected in public temples. The month Quintilis, in which he was born, was renamed Julius, now July. Imagine. These were symbols of divine monarchy and subsequently became objects of resentment. Caesar's domination over public affairs and his competitive instinct to preclude all others alienated the political class and eventually led to the conspiracy against his life. Shortly before 15 February 44 BC, Caesar assumed the dictatorship for life, clearly showing everyone that he had no intentions to restore a free republic so long as he was still in power. The plan to assassinate Caesar started in 45 BC, and by February 44 BC, there were some 60 conspirators. They chose 15th March, which was a symbolic day, and venue to be the Senate meeting held on that day. As Caesar approached his golden chair at the foot of the statue of Pompey, about 60 senators rushed him with daggers and simultaneously stabbed him till he died, as everyone will. But his indeed was a tragic death due to hatred and despite. Well, that's it on episode 54 of HMIH Podcast, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two from this episode. Kindly follow us on our social media handles at Damilare_Mapper, DAMILARE_MAPPER, and drop a comment or feedback. See you all in April, guys, by God's grace. I'm still your humble host, Damilare Mapper. Peace.